Welcome to Skinner and Chalmers Weekly Roast. Today, case file, the impossible Chalm-Launch, the time my husband was ejected by a pool toy.
Good evening, Memifield, and welcome to a very special, dare I say, aerodynamically charged investigative episode of Skinner and Chalmers Weekly Roast. The air in our little studio is thick with anticipation, the scent of ozone, and a faint, lingering aroma of what I can only describe as a culinary charcoal briquette that once resembled a casserole.
The fire department confirmed it was, in fact, the casserole I was supposed to have for dinner last night. But yes, Seymour, the town is buzzing. I haven't been able to visit the geology section of the library without being asked if I've developed superpowers. My collection of sedimentary rocks is getting jealous of the attention.
And for good reason. This isn't just a story, my dear Gary. This is a modern Memfield myth in the making. A myth as stunning as a flying pig over Memifield.
Are you planning on launching one of the Roombas into orbit, Seymour? Because after the week I've had, I might just help you with the trajectory calculations. Anything for a moment of peace.
Not a Roomba, my dear husband. You are the one who has so gloriously spat in the face of Sir Isaac Newton's most cherished suggestions. You have become Memfield's very own celestial body.
Oh, we're talking about that today, I see. Please, for the love of stable ground and predictable physics, do not call it the Chalm-Launch like all the residents in Memfield do. Every time you say the words, a small but significant part of my dignity evaporates into the atmosphere.
The Chalm-Launch. But it's magnificent. It has rhythm, it has pan, it has a certain ballistic elegance. The entire town is calling it that, Gary. You can't fight it. It's already entered the local lexicon, right alongside a Van Gogh surprise. For when you find your salt licks are missing.
I am painfully aware. My life has become a public spectacle of speculative physics. I went to the Mart for milk yesterday and Shadow cornered me in the dairy aisle. He leaned in, all brooding intensity, and wanted to know if my upward traversal was a chaos control experiment gone wrong. I spent 10 minutes trying to explain I don't even know how to use chaos control.
A perfectly valid theory, but I prefer the one from Loomis of Failing and Arctic on the Discord. They suggested you briefly achieved a higher state of being and simply chose the roof as your first meditative destination. It's very spiritual.
Master Chief just nodded at me grimly during my morning walk and said, "Good tactical insertion, sir. Very low profile. I think he's trying to recruit me for rooftop-based operations." Yesterday, Yuji asked if I had activated a trap card that was hidden under the lawn.
And we can't forget Mayor Van Gogh's official statement to the Memifield Times, speculating you were simply attempting to graze on a particularly delicious-looking patch of moss growing on the chimney. The mayor has a very singular worldview on things like that.
My life is no longer my own, Seymour. I am a curiosity, a walking, talking physics problem. Every time I step outside, I can feel our neighbors peering from behind their curtains, wondering if I'm about to spontaneously achieve low orbit again. Sonic has apparently been trying to replicate the jump, leaving small hedgehog-sized craters all over his lawn. It's chaos.
Not just apparently trying, Chalmers. And hey there, listeners! For me, your jump, well, it's like stretching in the morning. I can jump 20 meters high without any problems, with the right technique.
I bet you do. But Chalmers, anyways, it's a beautiful, baffling enigma. And that, dear listeners, is what tonight is all about. The rumors have swirled, the theories have multiplied, but today, we move from speculation to observation. Because amidst all the noise, one hero, one digital archivist, captured the moment for posterity. But before we dive in, thank you Zip Cirilla. We have the clip pulled up right here on the studio laptop. For our listeners who are enjoying this program through the magic of audio alone, allow me to paint you a picture with words.
Please try to be clinical about it, Seymour. My dignity has taken enough of a hit this week.
Nonsense, this is a portrait of glory. Imagine, friends, a tranquil scene. Our back garden, bathed in the soft evening light. The house shimmers, a perfect orange from the evening sun, or, to be more correct and honest, from the fire of our house, because I've burned something again. Then, our two alligators, Gizmo and Mr. Jellybeans, are sunning themselves on the patio like scaly, prehistoric royalty. But the focus is the foreground. And then, it happens. From the very bottom of the frame a figure enters. It is none other than my husband, Gary Chalmers, and in a flash, a blur of beige trousers and startled dignity, he launches. Vertically. I'm not talking about a jump, listeners. This is an ascension. He rockets upwards, clearing the patio, the rose bushes, and old Bartholomew, who I swear rattled his jaw in surprise. He travels a good 15 feet straight up before executing a clumsy, yet somehow majestic, tumble onto the shingles of our roof. The clip is about 4 seconds long, and it fundamentally breaks the laws of physics as we know them.
I can confirm from my perspective, it felt just as baffling as it looks. One moment I was just walking in our garden, checking the flowers, and the next I was having an uncomfortably close conversation with our guttering. I remember seeing Cumulus, our pet cloud, float by and give me a look of what I can only describe as profound disappointment.
It was breathtaking. It was the Chalm-Launch. The community has been ablaze with theories. Shu Funk stated it was an unreported Golem Union catapult experiment. Others thought did Roboskinner, my nefarious twin, install a hidden trampoline from his cell in the Twitch asylum as an act of petty vengeance? Did you, in a fit of meteorological passion, ride a freak updraft to the heavens?
I am a fan of a well-formed cumulonimbus, Seymour, but I do not ride them. The speculation has been relentless. Purple, Tombury on the forums suggested I'd glitched through the map. A theory article Tiger is apparently trying to replicate on his MemedHamsAI stream with mixed results for his digital Skinner.
Well, tonight, the speculation ends. We are here to get to the bottom of this rooftop rendezvous. We will dissect this moment, frame by glorious frame, until we uncover the truth. Because this isn't just about a man inexplicably appearing on his own roof, it's about the very fabric of reality in Memefield. And to help us unravel this enigma, we knew we couldn't do it alone.
We needed experts, people with unique perspectives on the event, people who could shed light on the forces at play.
Exactly. Which is why tonight, we have assembled a panel of unparalleled expertise, a veritable dream team of investigative prowess. To solve this mystery, we've brought in the best. Our first guest is a being whose very existence is a testament to speed, agility, and the art of leaving the ground with style. He is Memefield's foremost expert on kinetic energy, impossible acrobatics, and high-velocity horticulture disruption. Please welcome again the one, the only Sonic the Hedgehog.
Hey there again. Awesome to be here. When I heard about the Chalm-Launch, I knew I had to get in on this. That was some serious airtime, Chalmers. Now it's my turn. I haven't seen a launch that clean since Tails tried to attach a rocket engine to the toaster.
The lingering smell of burnt metal and pop tart still haunts my waking moments. Thank you for being here, Sonic. Your input will be invaluable. And our second guest is someone who had a more intimate role in the proceedings. An individual who was there at ground zero and is central to every plausible and frankly implausible theory we've heard.
A silent sentinel, a poolside philosopher, a vessel of untold secrets. Welcome to the show, the elegant and eloquent Mary Baron the Third Esquire, the ridiculous inflatable swan thingy.
It is a pleasure to be here. The opportunity to ruminate upon such a remarkable occurrence, where the terrestrial and the ethereal converged in a moment of spontaneous levity, is one I simply could not resist.
Mary, for the listeners who might be unaware, is our, like you said, Seymour, our large inflatable swan pool float, who through a series of events involving a lightning strike and a spilled bottle of yip whoop whoop wine, gained sentience this summer.
She has since become the reigning champion of our household Scrabble tournament and offers surprisingly insightful, if somewhat abstract, life advice. Welcome to you both. Now let's get down to brass tacks. Sonic, you've seen the clip. You've probably watched it 100 times, slowed it down, and analyzed it from every conceivable angle. As our resident expert in all things jump-related, what is your professional take?
Okay, so I've got the clip running on a loop here. Dezenzo, your producer, hooked me up with a high framerate version. It's wild. Okay, so looked at it frame by frame. The initial velocity is insane. We're talking 0 to roof in about 1.2 seconds. My own spin dash doesn't even have that kind of vertical acceleration from a dead stop.
Higher praise there is none.
The launch angle is almost a perfect 75 degrees. There's no crouch, no pre-jump compression. He's just standing there one frame and the next, he's a beige blur heading for the stratosphere. No human, not even one in peak physical condition like Master Chief after his morning Spartan yoga, can generate that kind of upward thrust from a standing start. It's just not possible.
I can assure you my physical condition is more sedentary academic than peak super soldier. My most strenuous activity that day was considering whether to weed the petunias.
Exactly! The physics are all wrong. There's no visible propellant, no explosion, but the force required. It's like he was kicked by an invisible, giant foot. I ran the numbers with tails earlier, factoring in your approximate weight, Chalmers, no offense, and the gravitational pull in Memfield, which gets a little weird around Van Gogh's mayoral office. You'd need a sudden force of, well, a lot. It's off the charts. My conclusion is simple. There's an external propulsion source. Period. This wasn't a jump, it was a launch.
An external propulsion source. The plot, as they say, thickens like my attempts at gravy. So we can officially rule out a sudden, latent superpower manifesting in my dear husband.
I am both relieved and vaguely insulted, so if I didn't jump and I wasn't kicked by a ghost, what are we left with?
That's the million-ring question, isn't it? The energy had to come from somewhere. It was instantaneous, powerful, and directed almost entirely upward. It's a classic physics problem, except the variable x is some kind of mystery cannon that we can't see.
If I may interject, the concept of a mystery cannon is perhaps too mechanistic. One must consider the confluence of ambient energies. The afternoon held a particular charge. The sun's photons danced upon the water's surface. The low hum of the golem's internal gears provided a resonant frequency. The very air seemed to hum with untapped potential.
Oh, I love that, Mary! The poetry of the moment. Perhaps the garden itself, in a fit of botanical exuberance, simply ejected him, like a seed pod bursting forth to spread its pollen upon the winds.
Seymour, please do not compare my unscheduled flight to the reproductive cycle of a dandelion. I have a reputation to maintain. Sonic, you mentioned no visible propellant. What about an audible one? I confess, the moments are a blur, but I do seem to recall a sound.
Yeah, I thought about that. I isolated the audio. Right at the moment of launch, beneath the crackling of the house fire and what sounds like a golem singing a Union sea shanty, there is a distinct sound. It's a sharp, explosive bowing. A bowing sound, like a massive spring firing. It's over in a fraction of a second, but it's there.
A bowing! The plot thickens and congeals. Mary, you were the closest to the event. You were, for all intents and purposes, at ground zero of the Chalm-Launch. What is your recollection of this bowing?
From my perspective, it was a moment where the mundane fabric of an afternoon frayed. There was the gentle lapping of water against my vinyl form, the distant, acrid scent of what I believe was a cauliflower and cheese bake achieving its final, carbonized state, and then a sudden, harmonious convergence of mass, momentum, and my own pneumatic potential.
Pneumatic potential. Mary, that word seems significant.
All things that contain air contain potential, superintendent. A breath held in anticipation, a tire awaiting the road, an inflatable swan dreaming of the sky. The sound was not a sound, but an exhalation. The universe, in that specific vector, sighed. It was less a jump and more a terrestrial ascension.
A terrestrial ascension! Oh, that's beautiful! It's going on a throw pillow. See, Gary, you weren't launched, you ascended. It's far more dignified.
I felt distinctly undignified when I was picking shingle fragments out of my tweed jacket. Sonic does pneumatic potential and a cosmic sigh. That sounds like a whoosh mean anything to you.
Pneumatic? Like air-powered? Whoa, wait a minute. That's interesting. An air-powered launch would fit the data. It would be instantaneous, powerful, and could explain the lack of fire or visible explosion. But where would that much compressed air come from? You'd need a serious compressor and a massive tank to launch a person like that. We're not talking about a bicycle pump here.
Perhaps one of the Rubas has been secretly upgrading itself. I did find a strange schematic labeled Project Vacu Pult in the charging station last week. I assumed it was for a more efficient dust bunny collection system.
Let's not entertain the idea of weaponized Roombas right now. Seymour, my nerves are frayed enough as it is. Let's try to reconstruct the scene. If we can't figure out the how, perhaps we can start with the why. Why was I even in that specific spot?
An excellent question. Let us journey back in time, guided by the memory of our intrepid roof explorer. Gary, take us back to that fateful afternoon. Set the scene. What were you doing in the moments leading up to your ascension?
It was a Tuesday, around 7 in the evening. As Seymour mentioned, the kitchen was experiencing a minor, yet persistent structural fire. I've found it's best to let the Golem Fire Brigade handle those situations, as my involvement usually just makes things worse. The last time I tried to help, I accidentally redirected the hose into the living room and gave our pet skeleton, old Bartholomew, a rather severe case of mildew.
He was rattling with displeasure for days. Cogsworth filed another grievance on his behalf. Something about unsafe working conditions for the undead.
So I decided to engage in some light garden maintenance. The air was warm. A gentle breeze was blowing from the direction of the Memfield night market, carrying the faint scent of fried noodles and some yip, whoop, whoop tea. It was a perfectly ordinary day. I had my gardening gloves on. I was preparing to clean the pool skimmer, which had become clogged with what appeared to be one of Garfield's discarded lasagnas.
Whoa, that happens at my place too! The guy has zero respect for poolside etiquette.
Hey, I'm just a cat who likes lasagna, and I respect chilling on the pool.
Shut up, Garfield! You're not supposed to be here!
All right. I will leave. For now. Closing door behind him.
So, Sonic, tell me about it. Mary was floating placidly near the edge of the pool, right by the flagstone path. She looked serene, a beacon of inflatable calm in a world of domestic chaos. I remember thinking how perfectly ordinary it all was. Gizmo and Mr. Jellybeans were snapping lazily at dragonflies, Cumulus was casting a gentle shadow over the garden gnomes, and the gentle thud, thud, thud of Master Chief testing a new grenade launcher echoed from a few houses down. It was home.
A portrait of suburban bliss. So you were by the pool, the lasagna was in the skimmer, and Mary was floating. What happened next? This is where the ordinary becomes the extraordinary.
My goal was simple: circumvent Mary to get to the skimmer. The flagstones by the pool are often wet, a fact I am well aware of. I have on occasion mentioned to Seymour that we should perhaps invest in some non-slip surfacing.
I suggested we cover it in a mosaic of my old military medals. It would be both practical and patriotic.
It would be a tetanus hazard. Seymour. In any case, I was moving with what I thought was adequate caution. I took a step, planning to kneel down to reach the skimmer basket, and that is when the immutable laws of friction decided to take a brief holiday.
The slip, a classic catalyst for chaos.
Indeed. My foot slipped on a patch of wet flagstone that had a thin film of algae on it. It wasn't a dramatic, flailing slip. It was a clumsy forward fall. My center of gravity shifted abruptly, and I was pitching forward, directly towards the pool. My instinct, as anyone's would be, was to brace myself, to stop my face from introducing itself to the concrete. My right hand shot out.
Yes, the suspense is killing me. It's more intense than the season finale of Golem Union negotiations.
And it landed, directly, in the center of Mary's back. It was a perfect, unintentional bullseye, and my hand didn't just land on her. It landed with the full force of my falling body weight, precisely on top of her main inflation valve.
The valve? No way!
There was no gentle hiss. There was no slow leak. There was this incredible, deafening, bowing sound, the sound you isolated, Sonic. It was the sound of every cubic inch of air inside a 6-foot inflatable swan being violently and instantaneously expelled through a 1-inch valve, and that valve was directly underneath my palm.
Good heavens, people.
The force of my fall, combined with the sudden, explosive release of compressed air from that valve, acted like a piston. Mary didn't just cushion my fall, she effectively detonated underneath my hand. The plastic of her back buckled and then recoiled. She became a swan-shaped catapult. She launched me.
Whoa! A pneumatic launch! That's it! It's a swanapult! The force of the escaping air! That's the external propulsion source! It would be powerful enough. It would be instantaneous, and it would be directed straight up because your hand was pushing straight down. It explains the verticality, the velocity, the whoosh sound. It explains everything. Chalm-Launch was a swan launch. That is so cool.
Indeed, a most succinct and accurate analysis, Sonic, my structural integrity, when subjected to such a precise and forceful impact upon a critical pressure point, converted stored air pressure into immediate kinetic energy. The superintendent's fall provided the activation energy required to overcome the valve seal. It was a startling yet fascinating application of basic physics, a perfect storm of clumsiness and pressure dynamics.
So, you're saying, my husband was catapulted onto our roof by our sentient inflatable swan.
That is precisely what I am saying, Seymour. I wasn't ascending, I was ejected.
Oh, this is the most wonderful thing I have ever heard. It's better than any theory we could have invented. It's absurd, it's scientific, it's, well, perfectly memfield. Gary, you are a pioneer of accidental aviation?
I felt less like a pioneer and more like a very confused projectile. The landing, I should add, was significantly less graceful than the launch. It involved several rolled tiles, a brief but terrifying slide towards the edge, and a solid minute of me just lying on my back, staring at the sky, wondering if I had finally had a complete break from reality. The first person to talk to me was one of the golem firefighters, who leaned over the edge and asked if I needed a ladder or if this was, and I quote, a new wellness trend.
A swan launch for wellness? I love it. We gotta market that. Imagine a whole line of launch-allowed inflatables. We could have dolphins, alligators.
No, absolutely not. I am officially giving all inflatable water toys a 10-foot berth from now on. Mary, no offense.
None taken, Superintendent. One's relationship with pneumatic potential must be built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. That trust was, albeit unintentionally, breached. I am simply relieved that your terrestrial return was not more eventful.
I am profoundly relieved you weren't hurt, Gary. Though I must admit, I will now look at Mary with a newfound mixture of affection and sheer terror. She holds a hidden power I never suspected. It's like finding out your favorite armchair has a secret ejector seat.
It's exactly like that. A terrifying vinyl ejector seat. So the mystery is solved. No superpowers, no alien intervention, no glitch in the Matrix. Just a slippery stone bad luck and a highly pressurized swan.
A tale for the ages. I want to thank our incredible expert panel for helping us solve the great mystery of the Chalm-Launch. Sonic, your analytical mind cut through the chaos like a blue blur through a field of badniks. Thank you for being here.
Anytime. This was way more fun than trying to get chili dog stains out of my gloves. If you ever accidentally launch yourself off the garage, give me a call.
I will do my utmost to ensure that never happens. And Mary, thank you for your participation in the event and for your poetic testimony here tonight.
The pleasure was all mine. May your future interactions with gravity be mundane and predictable. I shall now retire to the pool to contemplate the transient nature of air pressure.
And there you have it, folks. The truth is out there, and sometimes it's floating innocently in your swimming pool. Thank you all for tuning in to Skinner and Chalmers' Weekly Roast. We'll be back next week with, hopefully, a slightly less airborne topic.
Indeed, apparently Yugi wanted to show us some game he has created. Until then, watch your step around the pool, and Seymour, for the love of all that is holy, please do not try to replicate this experiment with the golems. I saw you sketching something on a napkin.
It was just a theoretical diagram exploring the potential of pneumatic-powered chore completion. Imagine launching the trash directly into the bin from across the yard. The efficiency.
No, Seymour. Just no. Good night, everyone.
Bye. See ya next week.
Goodbye, guys. Keep your inflatable things always in shape, and maybe you can also launch to the top of the roof.
Goodbye. Have a splendid day. And be careful with Sonic's advice, it can be dangerous.